The umbrella. I almost forgot. It was one of those mornings that already felt rushed before it even began. You know those days. You wake up late, the coffee machine decides to sputter and protest, and somehow your shoes disappear into another dimension. I was halfway out the door, bag in hand, keys in my mouth, when I noticed it, the umbrella, leaning quietly by the coat rack. I glanced outside. The sky looked perfect, clear blue, not a single cloud in sight. Birds were chirping, sunlight was streaming in through the window. I almost laughed to myself. Definitely not umbrella weather, but as I reached for the doorknob, I felt something, just a small whisper in my heart. Take it anyway. I hesitated. It didn't make sense. I wasn't walking far, the forecast was clear, and honestly, I didn't want one more thing to carry. But that gentle nudge came again. Take it. So I sighed, grabbed the umbrella, and went on my way, still not quite sure why. Hours later, while I was out, the day shifted. You've probably seen it happen, how the sky changes its mind in an instant. The blue faded into gray, then into something darker, heavier, and before long, the heavens opened up. Rain poured down in sheets, the streets flooded, people scattered, everyone ran for cover under awnings, bus stops, newspapers, anything they could find, and there I was, standing on the sidewalk, calm and dry, under the very umbrella I almost left behind. It hit me right then. God had prepared me before I even knew what was coming. What I thought was unnecessary turned out to be essential. That small whisper had saved me from being drenched in the storm. I couldn't stop thinking about that moment, because it wasn't really about the umbrella, it was about trust. How many times has God said, take it anyway? Wait, don't go there. Call that person. Forgive them. Save that money. And we think, but why, Lord? Everything looks fine. We see clear skies. God sees the gathering clouds. We see comfort. God sees what's coming around the corner. We see delay. God sees protection. So many of God's instructions don't make sense until later, until the sky breaks open and we realize that small whisper was our shelter. I remember another time, a flight I almost missed. I was frustrated because everything was delayed. I complained to God, why can't things just go smoothly? But later I found out there had been turbulence, a storm reroute, and that delay had placed me safely outside its path. Sometimes what feels like inconvenience is actually intervention. Sometimes the very thing you're resisting, the job that didn't open, the person who walked away, the door that closed, was God's way of saying, take the umbrella. He was preparing you for a storm you couldn't see yet. I think about that whisper. Take it anyway. How many times have we heard God's quiet voice in our own lives? Not loud, not dramatic, just a gentle tug in the heart, a thought you can't shake, a sense that something isn't right, a peace that says, go this way instead. That's the Holy Spirit's voice, your spiritual forecast, warning you of storms before you see them. And if we're not careful, we can dismiss it as nothing. We say, it's just me overthinking. Maybe I'm being too cautious. Maybe I'm just imagining things. But later, when life's downpour comes, we realize that was God. That was His mercy showing up early. So how do we learn to recognize those nudges? It starts with quiet. You can't hear a whisper in a room full of noise. And let's be honest, our world is noisy. Our minds are loud. Sometimes we have to slow down long enough to notice the umbrella by the door, to hear that still, small voice that says, take it. Maybe today God's asking you to prepare for something that doesn't make sense yet. Maybe He's urging you to pray before a decision, to let go of something, to reach out to someone. It might seem unnecessary now, but tomorrow you'll see why. Faith is trusting that God sees the forecast, that when He says, take it anyway, He's not trying to burden you, He's trying to bless you. Faith says, I don't understand why, but I'll obey anyway, because you never know when today's obedience becomes tomorrow's shelter. God's protection doesn't always look like miracles falling from the sky. Sometimes it looks like simple preparation, an umbrella in your hand, peace in your heart, wisdom in your timing. As I walked home that day, the rain still pouring around me, I felt grateful, not just for staying dry, but for being reminded of something deeper. God's care isn't reactive, it's proactive. He doesn't scramble when the storm hits. He's been preparing you all along. So the next time he nudges your heart, even when everything looks calm, listen. The small, quiet voice that says, "Take it anyway," might just be the voice that keeps you safe when the clouds roll in.